Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Closer Encounters. I am your host Clarence Mitchell, and we're coming to you live from somewhere in Minnesota. Closer Encounters is broadcasting live from Spreaker, and we are always live streaming on Facebook. Come check us out, www.facebook.com/Closer Encounters Radio. And please don't forget to like, follow, and share. Would you like to be a guest on Closer Encounters? Or do you know somebody who would like to be a guest on Closer Encounters? Please send us an email, closerencounters.info@gmail.com. That's closerencounters.info@gmail.com. For everything Closer Encounters, check out our new webpage at www.closerencounters.space. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Closer Encounters, the show where you, the listener, is also the guest. As you know, I am your host Clarence Mitchell, and we have one heck of a show tonight to go through, I'm telling you. What's kind of ironic about this is it is Halloween, and most shows, as you know, especially on this night, they talk about ghost stories and different things like that. And I really wasn't going to get involved in all that just because everyone else does it. I had planned on actually playing the old 1930 clip of Orson Welles' War of the Worlds just to get a laugh, or whatever from people. But something else came up. So it changed my whole ordeal and everything I had going on, and I wanted to get this out to you tonight. Something that I came up with last night, and I'll explain everything to you here so I don't get too far ahead of myself. But if you're just tuning in or whatever, or you're just signing on, I would like to have you, if you would, grab yourself a notepad and a pencil or a pen or something so you can write some of this stuff down. Because honestly, you don't want to miss what I have to tell you tonight. This is something, well, let me explain to you. As you know, some of you know me fairly well from doing these other shows and doing Facebook Live and stuff like that. You know, on occasion I have these epiphanies. For whatever reason, I call them gifts, from those, celestial people out there or whatever. Sometimes my mind just smacks me, and I've learned to uh, take what I get with stride, and I start doing some checking into things, and lo and behold, the next thing you know, I come up with something that may or may not interest you. I I'm not going to say this is um, the most definite thing, but it definitely, for me, solves a lot of questions. Um, and what I'm referring to is when you look at phenomena, uh, various types of paranormal and things that have been going around, and you hear people talk about different types of phenomena and paranormal and stuff, uh, I may have an answer that will cover almost 90% of all of this. And what I'm talking about as far as phenomena and paranormal, you can run down a list of things, and if you want to write these down, I'll give you a few examples of what I'm talking about. Such things as strange disappearances. Now, this involves mostly people that have disappeared without a trace. Okay? Now, I'm not talking about uh, people that um, were suspect of kidnappings or right out murders or any of that kind of stuff, or suicides or any of that kind of thing. I'm talking about people that just vanished out of thin air. Okay, and we'll get into a few of these here as we go along. The next one would be deja vu. As you know, deja vu is something that happens to most individuals, where all of a sudden you find yourself doing something and you think to yourself that you've done this before, or you've dreamt about it before, or something has happened, but the realization is that you really believe that you've been here, you've done this, and it's so realistic. I mean, it's just unbelievable. We all have had it, and we'll go into the details on that here in just a bit. The next one on my list would be spontaneous human combustion. And what this is, as you may or may not know, it is actually where people have burst into flames for no apparent reasons. People were found in their houses, where the surroundings, say like they were sitting in a chair, um, their chair was burnt through to the floor, but yet the rest of the chair remains. Sometimes they find partial limbs, such as legs and arms, but the body has been burnt to ash. Okay? The heat is so intense inside the house that nothing actually catches on fire, but there is smoke residue. Light bulbs have been melted in the fixtures, different things like that. Like I said, there's soot and whatever on the ceilings, on the walls, definite heat, signatures, but nothing is burnt. The only thing that's burnt is the body of the person, and or their bed that they were laying in, or a chair that they were sitting in, or something of that nature. There's also been a couple of reports of people who have caught fire right out in broad daylight and had literally disintegrated as onlookers watched or whatever, okay? And we'll get into that a little bit. The next one would be near death slash out of body experiences, okay? And what this involves mostly are people that claim to have died and have left their body. They know their surroundings, they hear people talk, they go to what they call the bright light, for most cases. Some of them don't have it, but most generally there's some some form of a bright light, and they're going towards it and whatever. When they get towards that destination, they're told to go back. Next thing you know, they wake up and they're back in this, in this life. And it's quite an ordeal, and they remember everything that was going on, everything that was said, on and on and on. Quite a traumatic thing. The next thing would be missing time. Okay, and this has a lot to do with a lot of times with alien abductions, things of this nature. But people will all of a sudden notice that they have either gone forward or backward in time. They know that, say, like you're driving down the road and you're going to go to a certain destination, and it's taking you 3 hours longer to get there than what normally would be a half-hour drive, and you have no idea what happened because you never stopped anywhere. And there's also the projection of time, which you're repelled forward, where it should have taken you, like in a case that I had, it should have been at least a 10-hour drive, and I showed up 7.5 to 8 hours. So, I still had an extra couple hours to be there, but I am there, and this is under normal driving circumstances or whatever, and I wind up getting there, a few hours earlier than what I should have. Crazy stuff. I'm not so sure yet about this next one. It's the triple numbers things, which I am dealing with on a constant basis. I've talked about it many times, but the triple numbers, of course, is when you see, especially on your digital clocks and on your cell phones and things of this nature, possibly even your television or whatever, coffee pots, clock stoves, things of that nature, where the numbers will be like 111 or 222 or 333 or 444, so on and so forth. Okay? So you take all of these categories and you put them in a box, and I believe I have an answer that will pretty much cover every single one of these phenomena or paranormal experiences. So, yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Now, I'm going to tell you how I arrived at this, and, so on and so forth. First off, let me say to you that when I get these epiphanies, like I said before, it's not something that I just, think about, a couple of days or whatever. These are things that all of a sudden I'll just get this load of information kind of brainstormed into my head, for whatever reason. And how it happens, I really don't know, but it does. And I'm sure people, there's other people out there who's had these certain epiphanies or whatever, these bright ideas. And some people don't follow through with them. But in this particular instance, I did. And it actually makes sense to me, And I'm hoping that this is also going to make sense to you. Okay? So, what we're going to do is, I'm going to first, before I give you the answer to any of this, okay, I want to go through and I want to kind of divulge in each category. Do a little bit of background, give you a little bit of what's what and who's what and whatever, and you know, uh, so we get an idea of what the connection is here. Okay. So first off on the list, of course, was the strange disappearances of people. Okay. Uh, Now a lot of these. Um, well, first of all, let me explain something um, before I get too far ahead of myself, because I'm kind of excited tonight. I'm sorry for this. Uh, I don't want to miss anything, but let me explain to you what's been going on with me. Uh, I've been listening to a lot of other podcasts and radio shows, as I always do. I got good friends of mine that do it. Radio show hosts, and I got other podcast hosts and people who do live videos, on YouTube and whatever. So periodically, I'll jump in, I'll listen to one show or two shows a night, just to see what they're talking about or, whatever. And, on and on. And, I visit them, I like their shows, whatever. I listen to their guests. Maybe I can sometimes find a guest of theirs that maybe I can invite on my show, whatever. But anyway, these past couple of nights, especially with Halloween coming up, being tonight, and there's been a lot of paranormal talk on the radio, on these podcasts. And it's mostly to do uh, with ghosts and disappearances of people and things of this nature. And there's been a lot of talk about, say, like underground bases with aliens. Some people think that people that disappear and that are being abducted and never returned. They may be food for aliens, different things like that. There's been talk about all different variety types of aliens, from the Greys to the Nordics to the Tall Whites to the Reptilians, the Arcadians. I mean, there's umpteen different species. And you hear some pretty wild and amazing stories from folks, claiming to have visited, these places and stuff, and had seen some pretty horrific things going on with human beings and so on and so forth. And, the list goes on. And I'm sitting there last night listening to a couple of these podcasts, and I go along to about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes because that's what I do, and I have to chuckle. Well, then I sat back and I started thinking about something, and it's dawned on to me that this whole conglomerate thing about aliens and UFOs and different things like that has really gone totally outlandishly crazy. Okay? The stories behind them just get bigger and bigger and bigger and just unbelievably stretched. I mean, wow, crazy stuff. So I'm sitting there and I'm shaking my head. No, I'm just shaking my head in disbelief at some of these stories I'm hearing. These people coming forward and just outlandishly crazy stuff. Okay. I don't know why folks do this, and I don't, it's just totally unbelievable, some of this stuff. And I'm sitting there listening to these folks and stuff, and then it dawns on to me, we really need to get back to the simple ordeals, especially with UFOs and aliens and stuff like that. So the one thing that I want to truly say before we go any further is the fact that not everything that happens in this world is UFO or extraterrestrial related. Okay? So, what I want to do tonight is express to you not to put the extraterrestrial and UFO ordeals into this categories that I'm going to be speaking about tonight. Okay? This has nothing to do with aliens or UFO activity. It's a totally different subject, and we'll get into that maybe I'll get into that later on, okay? And I'll explain why I'm saying what I'm saying. All right? But you take these categories that I talked about: spontaneous combustion, deja vu, strange disappearances, out of body experiences, missing time, etc., etc. And I may have an answer that all of these will fit into. Okay? So, anyway, what I wanted to do was start off, like I said, with the first category of strange disappearances. And, we'll kind of go down through and we'll talk a little bit about each one. And then I will give you my whole thesis and theory about what's happening here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my laptop here. And I'm going to throw it over here in front of me. And this way I can talk to Google. Is what I need, right? And by the way, I don't like voice activated stuff, but I'll use it on the laptop as far as that goes. And we'll scroll down here. I'll bring up the Google page and I will go to the thing and I will ask Google, how many missing persons are in the United States?
Here's a summary from Loth Investigations International. According to the NCIC, as of May 31, 2018, there were 87,608 active missing person cases in the United States. Okay,
in case you guys didn't catch that, according to the NCIC, as of May 31st of 2008, there were 87,608 active missing person cases in the United States. Unbelievable. Okay, 87,608 active missing person cases in the United States. Okay. Now, let me ask it another question. Well, first of all, let me write that down just so I don't forget the number here. 87,608. And that's from 2018. Okay. Alrighty. Let's see here. Now let me ask Google a different question here. Well, let's see. How would I ask it? I'm trying to think how I would ask it. Okay. Let's see here. What is the average missing person rate in the United States?
According to WALB.com, of the 15,207 people currently missing in the U.S., approximately 60% are male and 40% are female.
That's not quite what I was asking. Okay, let's do this. How many people go missing each year? Okay, according to this, missing people, the charity that helps both the disappeared and those left behind told us that 250,000 missing persons report each year, more than 30,000 higher than any previous total. Wow. Okay. And that's just in the United States. Now, that's not worldwide. That's just in the United States alone. Okay. Let's ask it this: how many people go missing worldwide per year?
According to Tracimo, around 800,000 are from the United States, 40,000 each year in Brazil, 50,500 in Canada, 39,000 in France, 100,000 in Germany, 45,000 in Mexico, and an estimated 230,000 go missing in the United Kingdom every year.
Wow. Holy criminy. Wow. Did everybody catch that? An estimated 8 million children are said to go missing each year worldwide. Now that's worldwide, 8 million children. Around 800,000 are from the United States, 40,000 each year in Brazil, 50,500 in Canada, 39,000 in France, 100,000 in Germany, 45,000 in Mexico, and an estimated 230,000 go missing in the UK every year. This is children. This has nothing to do with adults, okay? This is just children. Wow. Holy Toledo. That is crazy. Approximately 2,300 Americans are reported missing every day. This includes both children and adults. This does not include Americans who have vanished in other countries. Individuals who disappear are never reported, or the homeless and their children. Quite a statistic. Wow. Whew. That's crazy. That's crazy by any means. Wow. Okay. According to this, 4,432,880 missing persons vanished in the last 20 years. Whew. That is an ungodly total number of people. Okay? Now, granted, some of these, unfortunately, are deaths, kidnappings, you name it, so on and so forth, okay? But there are some, and I can't even give you a number because, obviously there's not going to be a clue. These kind of numbers are just so vast and so big. I mean, we're not going to know for sure, but wow, that's it. I'm just totally amazed. I didn't even know this until just now. But yeah, this is totally crazy. But out of all of them, there are quite a number of mysterious vanishings with no trace whatsoever. Okay, no, nothing, just out of thin air. Okay. I don't know. I don't even know if they would even have an estimate on that. I wonder how I would ask that. Let me see. How many people would come up missing? No, that ain't right. Let's see. That's not the right question. How would I ask that? How many people vanish without a trace in the world?
According to Scoop NZ, these statistics also conceal another. Globally, 607 people go missing every single day without a trace.
607 people every day, globally, without a trace. Okay, that makes sense. Which gives you that 4,432,880 missing persons in the last 20 years. Okay. There we go. It's been reported that on average 90,000 people are missing in the United States at any given time. While many of them end up being found alive or dead, many others remain missing to this day. Wow. That is a lot of people. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, so we got the tidbit on that part. Now, I just wanted to give you a couple of cases here. Now these here, and what I find astonishing about all of these particular missing cases, there is one particular connection that I want people to take note on. These are all people that have been missing, that have became missing in national parks of one sort or another. Whether it be the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, or the Grand Canyon National Park, or Yellowstone National Park, or whatever, these folks came up missing in some type of a national park. So I want that to be noted, but these are pretty well known missing cases. The one that I recall the most, well actually there's two of them, but this one here, his name is Mitchell Dale Stenling, Stehling, and this goes back to June of 2013. He was 51 years old at the time, and he was a white male, approximately 6 foot tall, weighed around 200 pounds, brown and gray hair, and brown eyes. He was last seen on Sunday, June 9th, 2013, while hiking in the park. He was on a road trip with his wife, his father, and mother, after telling his family that he wanted to see the Spruce Tree House Cliff dwelling. He started hiking at approximately 4:30 p.m. The trail to the dwelling is less than a quarter of a mile long and connects with the Petroglyph Point Trail, and Stelling did not return from his hike, and that's all they had on it. He just up and disappeared, no trace of him whatsoever, blah blah blah, and of course it gives you, the Colorado thing to look it up, and some of these, of course. Now this one here is kind of interesting. Now this comes out of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. This happened back in March of 2012. The guy's name is Derek Luking. He's 24 years old at the time he was missing. He's a white male, 5 feet 11 inches tall, around 220 pounds. Green eyes, brown hair, short beard. Last seen wearing black track pants, white tennis shoes, possibly had real tree camouflage rain gear with him, and a small dark colored backpack. He was last seen leaving the Megtrol Hotel on March 3rd, 2012 in Cherokee, North Carolina. His car was found parked in the lower lot of the Newfound Gap at the North Carolina-Tennessee state line. Lucan's direction of travel from Newfound Gap is unknown. Unknown. Let's see here. And that was the Great Smoky Mountain National. This one is the Grand Canyon National Park, which there's a lot of cases out of there. Adam Clayton Lyle Jones 23-year-old male, 5 feet 7 inches tall, around 140 pounds, blue eyes, light brown hair. Jones was last seen by family in Gulf Breeze, Florida on March the 31st, 2011. His vehicle was found in Grand Canyon National Park at the Grand Canyon Visitor Center, South Rim on May 5th, 2011. And there's a bunch of Yosemites and Greater Lake National Parks. Some of these are this one here is out of Yosemite. 66-year-old man by the name of Walter Reinhardt, 66 years old. He went missing. White male, 5 feet 8 inches tall, 145 pounds. Gray and brown hair becoming thin, no facial hair, fair complexion, possibly wearing a gray felt alpine hat. As in the image, it shows a picture of him here with his hat on, and leather hiking boots. Reinhardt usually carried a large fanny pack. Reinhardt's vehicle was found at the White Wolf Trailhead on September 30th, 2002. It is likely he began a hike from the trailhead on or around September 19th, 2002. Okay. So these are just some, and like I said, these are all national parks and stuff, which is what the one connection is I wanted to, tell you. These are all national park people that have come up missing. And this goes all the way back to, 1969. All the way up until now, and there is a whole lot of them, and then there was one I remember seeing on TV here not long ago. I can't remember if it was In Search Of or some type of mystery channel or whatever it was, but they talked about a particular family that was in Chaco Canyon, and there was a family there that was at Chaco Canyon one time, and the one guy sat down and said, I'm a little bit tired, why don't you guys go on ahead and I'll catch up with you here in a few minutes. He just wanted to sit down and take a breather. And the family said, okay, not a problem, the people that he was with, and they went on up the trail. Now the trail was only it wasn't long at all, maybe a 10-minute, 15-minute hike, and they were at where they needed to be. And they waited for this guy, to show up, and he never did. And they decided that maybe they better go back and locate him, and see what's going on with him. That maybe, something happened. And sure enough, they went down there, and he was gone. And never to be seen. Without a trace, without anything, just disappeared, okay? Some of you might remember that. That happened, just a couple years ago. There was also another case that they showed on TV, and this one's really ironic. I want to say it was in the Alps, but don't quote me on that. But I know it was one of those mountain ranges that all these people go to, to climb. And these two avid climbers, they were both kind of, I'm not going to say old guys, but they were in their middle ages, 60 to, 50 to 60 years old, somewhere around there. And they've hiked together forever and ever, doing these mountain climbs and doing whatever. And the one gentleman told the other partner, he says, I'm going to go on up ahead. I'll meet you up there, whatever. And the guy says, okay, not a problem. And he was going to take a break and, just relax for a little while. Well, where his buddy was going, you could actually see with the naked eye. It was out in the open. It wasn't even, thousands of yards across. if he had actually watched him the whole way, he probably would have seen what would have happened, okay? But apparently he was digging in his bag or doing whatever, and when he looked up to see if his buddy was still walking, his buddy had disappeared. And he got up and, he kept looking, and of course he never seen his buddy. And he walked to the spot where his buddy was supposed to be, and there was no sign of him. But there were remnants of some of his belongings left there. His backpack, I think, was there, his wallet, a couple other things, whatever. Maybe even one shoe or something like that. I can't remember. There was some really weird stuff, that was left behind. But here he was, only just, eyesight, literally in eyesight away, and he up and vanishes for no reason. Okay. Now, a lot of folks tend to believe that all these missing people, especially in these national parks and that, are all due to animal killings and stuff like that. Now, I'm not going to say that some aren't, but most of the time, 99% of the time, people would always hear screams or, something of that nature. There'd be some kind of ruckus, especially if you're waiting on somebody or, you're not that far away. That's what makes these ones so mysterious, because there's no sound, people screaming or any of that stuff, or, what I'm saying, any of that. It's just like they just up and disappeared. Okay. So just keeping that in mind, and I won't go too crazy into this, but that's that's one of those things. So I just wanted to put that out there. Okay, so that's the strange disappearances. Let's move on to deja vu.
According to Psychology Today, deja vu is a common intuitive experience that has happened to many of us. The expression is derived from the French, meaning already seen. When it occurs, it seems to spark our memory of a place we have already been, a person we have already seen, or an act we have already done.
Yeah, there you go. So I'll read that one more time to you. Deja vu is a common intuitive experience that has happened to many of us. The expression is derived from the French meaning already seen. When it occurs, it seems to spark our memory of a place we have already been, a person we have already seen, or an act we have already done. Okay? And that's about as good of a description as you'll ever get on that. Okay? So everybody knows what deja vu is, pretty much. Okay? So I just wanted to give you the description, and, so please keep all this in mind the best you can, and like I said, write these down as we go along, and you'll understand here at the end where I'm coming from or why I'm doing this, okay? So bear with me. Next on our list is spontaneous human combustion. Okay. Now, I wanted to find the one here. Let's see. Um, let's see here. Trying to find the one. Okay, well, let me read the Wikipedia thing on this. Okay. Spontaneous human combustion, also known as SHC, is a concept of the combustion of a living or recently deceased human body without an apparent external source of ignition. In addition to reported cases, descriptions of the alleged phenomena appears in literature, and both types have been observed to share common characteristics in terms of circumstances and the remains of the victims. Okay. Forensics. Investigations have attempted to analyze reported instances of SHC and have resulted in hypotheses regarding potential causes and mechanisms, including victims' behavior and habits, alcohol consumption, and proximity to potential sources of ignition, as well as the behavior of fires that consumes melted fats. Natural explanations as well as unverified natural phenomena have been proposed to explain reports of SHC. Current scientific consensus is that most and perhaps all cases of SHC involved overlooked external sources of ignition. I can't believe they would even say that. Overlooked external sources of ignition? Really? Well, here's something that happens, okay? When this happens to people, and like I said, they're sitting in their chair, they're lying in bed, or whatever they're doing, and this happens, they always bring out the fire marshals and stuff like that who investigate these things. So how in the hell are you going to have overlooked external sources of ignition when you got fire marshals and that doing these investigations? That's their job. They're not going to overlook external sources. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. That's a bullshit. I'm sorry for my words, but that's a BS deal, you know. But that's science for you, you know, scientific consensus. Yeah, okay, whatever. So anyway, here's the characteristics, and I'll run these down. There's like 6 or so of them here. And of course, it seems like alcohol is always the big deal. It says that the victims are chronic alcoholics. Number 2, they are usually elderly females. The body has not burned spontaneously, but some lighted substance has come into contact with it. Number 4, the hands and feet usually fall off. Number 5, the fire has caused very little damage to combustible things in contact with the body, which I told you before. Number 6, the combustion of the body has left a residue of greasy and fetid ashes, very offensive in odor. And it says here as a side note, alcoholism is a common theme in early SHC literary references, in part because some Victorian era physicians and writers believed that spontaneous human combustion was the result of alcoholism. Okay. You know how much alcohol a person would have to have in their system to burn a body, literally, and bone to ash? Think about that, okay? And not burn anything else around it, or the chair that it's sitting in, or the bed that it's laying in, okay? It doesn't catch the whole house on fire? I'm sorry, I don't believe that, okay? And you'll find out why here in just a moment. But that is spontaneous human, yeah, spontaneous human combustion. And it's quite a thing. Okay. And next on our list was near-death and out-of-body experiences.
According to ScienceDirect.com, out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences are complex phenomena that have fascinated mankind from time immemorial.
OBEs are defined as experiences in which a person seems to be awake and sees his body and the world from a disembodied location outside his physical body. So we all pretty much know what out-of-body experiences are, or near-death experiences. Basically, they are the same thing, but not always work the same way. You know, some people are laying on operating tables and they're dying or had died, and they're being brought back to life. And as they're being worked on, the person knows what's being said. They're lifted up to the roof or the ceiling or whatever, and they can look down and see what's happening to themselves, this, that, and other things. The same thing with people that are in car accidents or, whatever, different things like that. But they always seem to die, and they go towards the white light, and of course they're told, we don't need you, turn around, go back, and back they go. Next thing you know, they're waking up and they're in an ambulance or in a hospital bed or wherever. So we know about the near death and the out of body experiences. So there we go. And let's see here. What's next? Missing time. Missing time. Okay. A lot of this, when you talk about missing time, of course, the alien thing comes into play. Most people think that missing time is all about alien abductions and, different things. And I'm going to tell you that, yes, it is true. I experienced this myself. And I know about the alien visitation / abduction with the missing time thing. But I have also had missing time in regular life without being visited or abducted, que sera, sera. But so I've actually gone both ways with this myself personally. Very strange things. And most people, who are listening and whatever, know what missing time is and, the understanding behind it. But I'm just going to tell you this, that not all missing time experiences have to do with alien abductions, okay? And we'll get into this here, and I'll explain to you why I say this, but this is part of the group. Now the triple numbers thing, let's see here, triple numbers.
According to Odd Love's Company, one way the universe communicates with us is by means of triple or even quadruple or larger numbers that appear around us, license plates, clocks, airline flight numbers, street addresses, and so on.
Yes, and it says when we see triple numbers like 111, 222, or 333, the universe is usually trying to get our attention. I'm going to read that again. When you see triple numbers like 111, 222, or 333, the universe is usually trying to get our attention. Okay. Usually trying to get our attention. Now, I have been plagued more recently with this than anything that I can explain. Okay? I see it on my coffee maker. I see it on my cell phone. I see it on my digital clock. I see it on my computer. It's like every time I turn around, I'm getting these 3-digit numbers, these triple numbers. Okay? So, with all of this being put together, okay, and this is what we're going to do. I want you to put a big circle around it and put an arrow underneath it or whatever. And underneath that arrow, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write Wormholes. Wormholes. Okay. Now some of you are like, oh no, I know where he's going with this. Well, maybe you do and maybe you don't. But I'm going to explain a few things to you that you probably never knew and, until now. So just hang on. Don't run away. Excuse me here just for a second while I bring this up. Okay, what are wormholes? Well, we all pretty much know what wormholes are or what they're supposed to be. Back in 1935, Albert Einstein and his colleague Nathan Rosen discovered that the theory of relativity, there we go, allowed for the existence of bridges that connect 2 points in space-time. If space and time are wrapped or folded together, 2 points that are great distances from each other can be connected. Okay? Now, let's see here. These Einstein-Rosen bridges, which were later called wormholes, are essentially shortcuts that allow one to travel from one location in the universe to another in a shorter amount of time. When they hear the term wormhole, some people might imagine an earthworm burrowing itself through something, but in fact that analogically is how the term wormhole came to be. Imagine a worm on the surface of an apple. This worm could take a shortcut from one side of the apple to another by burrowing through the center of the apple to the other side. Likewise, a traveler can make a shortcut from one point in the universe to another by traveling through a wormhole. Okay? Now, not many people know this, but I'm going to tell you now. There are 6 different types of wormholes. Okay? I'll say that again. There are 6 different types of wormholes. This, my friends, is where the plot thickens. All right? This is where the plot thickens. Oh, we're going to have fun now. So I hope you guys are listening. Woo. Okay. There are about as many types and names of wormholes as there are scientists who theorize about them. As new theories about wormholes are published and recognized, additional names for them are created. Scientists with names such as Schwarzschild, Lorenz, Morris, Thorne, Ellis, and Weiser have all had wormholes named after their ideas. Although multiple ideas about the different types and functions of wormholes abound, there are 6 primary types of wormholes that scientists agree exist. Okay? These are 6 wormholes that scientists agree exist. Now, take your pen and your paper. I want you to write these down. And I'll tell you what they are here. Number 1. Traversible. Traversible wormhole. These are wormholes that we are most familiar with in science fiction. Transversible wormholes are the ones that we can pass through from one point in a universe to another. Alright? Traversible. Traversible. S-A-B-L-E. Number 2, non-transversible wormholes. These are wormholes that nothing can pass through, either because the wormhole collapses, it only has an entry point, but no exit, or the person or particle entering it would be destroyed before reaching the other side. Okay? I'll read that again. Non-transversible are wormholes that nothing can pass through, either because the wormhole collapses, it only has an entry point, but no exit, or the person or particle entering it would be destroyed before reaching the other side. Okay. On to number 3. A one-way wormhole. One way. One-way wormholes are a one-way trip, meaning you can only travel once through them, and you would need a separate wormhole for the return trip. So in other words, once you go into a one-way, there ain't no coming back unless you have a second wormhole, a separate one, for the return trip. Okay? Now, under the third one, the one-way, there are 2 types of what they call a black hole and a white hole. Okay? The black hole is actually a type of one-way wormhole that anything can enter, but due to its intense gravitational pull, nothing can escape. Okay? So that's why they call it a one-way wormhole. A white hole, most of us have never heard of, but it is the opposite of a black hole, where nothing can enter into it. Okay? Number 4, the two-way wormhole. Two-way wormholes are round-trip wormholes that allow you a return voyage through the same wormhole. I'll read that again. A two-way wormhole are round-trip wormholes that allow you a return voyage through the same wormhole. Okay? Number 5, an intra-universe wormhole. Intra is INTRA/universe wormhole. And they are located in our own universe and are for traveling from one point to another within our universe. Okay? And number 6, of course, is the inter/universe. And of course, you can guess, it only connects from our universe to another parallel universe. Okay? Now, it does go on to say, and I want to tell you this here, that these 6 types of wormholes, however, are rarely classified by themselves. For example, all right, a one-way wormhole, geez, I can't talk. A one-way wormhole can be transable or non-transable. An inter-universe wormhole can be a one-way or a two-way wormhole. So in other words, you know, if you take them and you break them down as a separate kind of thing, you know, a couple of these could be the same thing or talking about, you know, the same type of wormhole, even though they're categorized as a different style, if you understand what that means. Kind of a weird deal. Okay, moving on here. The ideal type of wormhole for travel and the one we see most often in science fiction is the intra-universe two-way traversable wormhole. So here they combined all these wormholes together and gave it one huge name. Intra-universe two-way traversable wormhole. Instead of just giving it one name. This wormhole would allow a traveler to make a journey, stay within our universe, and use the same wormhole for the return trip, which is a two-way. Okay. The creation of wormholes. There are two questions in the minds of many when thinking about wormholes. Number one is, how possible is it for us to travel through a wormhole? And number two, can we actually create one? Well, they have an answer for you. Naturally occurring, despite the fact that we have yet to observe or measure a transversable wormhole, many scientists believe that wormholes occur naturally, but only at the particulate level. These microscopic wormholes are called primordial wormholes and can transmit tiny particles from one place to another. While they are not particulate for transmitting anything larger, including people, as the universe has expanded, these primordial wormholes may have grown in size. It's also theoretically possible for us to enlarge or create them ourselves out of quantum foam. Okay. Now, what is quantum foam? It's a subatomic structure that may exist throughout the universe and is a billion trillions times smaller than the nucleus of an atom. Currently, however, we do not have the technology to manipulate or detect quantum foam. Imagine that. Okay, so where am I going with all of this? Well, some of you may have already guessed it, and maybe some of you haven't. But if we go back to our list now of the things that I told you to write down: strange disappearances, deja vu, spontaneous human combustion, near-death or out-of-body experiences, missing time, and of course the triple numbers 111, 222, 333. They all, in fact, have something to do with one, if not all, of these types of wormholes. All right, and I'll give you some prime examples here. Let's take, let's see here. What would be a good one to start off with? Okay, the non-transversible. Now, most of you are thinking, now wait a minute, non-transversible, you can't get into it because, you'd be destroyed, before you reach the other side or whatever. Well, there you go. Spontaneous human combustion. Okay? The person does not get to go, get his whole body through this wormhole before it destroys him. Okay? So these are wormholes that nothing can pass through, either because the wormhole collapses, it only has an entry point but no exit, or the person or particle entering it would be destroyed before reaching the other side. That, my friends, sounds like spontaneous human combustion. Okay? That's what happens. The person got destroyed before he could reach the other side. All right? It collapsed in on him, so to speak. Let's see here. The two-way wormholes are round-trip wormholes that allow you a return voyage through the same wormhole. Now, what would you think on our list would be a two-way? Well, how about out-of-body and near-death experiences? You go through your wormhole, you get to the other side, you turn around, you come back. Okay? Whether you see anything on the other side or not doesn't really matter. All right, but the fact is, you go and you return. Okay, so that would be a two-way wormhole. All right. Let's see here. A one-way wormhole. These are wormholes only one way, meaning you can only travel once through them, and you would need a separate wormhole for the return trip. Well, I kind of put them in the same category as the traversable. These are wormholes that are most familiar with in science fiction. Traversal wormholes are the ones that we can pass through from one part of the universe to another. Okay, now I'm going to stay with the one way, and I'm going to put in there strange disappearances. All right. In other words, the person went in, they can't get back out. Once you're in it, you're gone. Disappeared. Unsolved mystery. Okay? And then, of course, the triple numbers, the 111, the 222, the 333. I believe, as you remember, what did it say about the triple numbers? Let's see here. Remember the definition? Triple numbers.
According to Odd Love's Company, one way the universe communicates with us is by means of triple or even quadruple or larger numbers that appear around us, license plates, clocks, airline flight numbers, street addresses, and so on.
When you see triple numbers like 111, 222, or 333, the universe is usually trying to get our attention. Okay? So, here's my theory. Everybody, every human living species on this planet has his own personal living wormhole. Did you catch what I'm saying? Every person, young, old, middle-aged, whatever, has their own specific personal wormhole. The problem is, we don't know when it's going to open. Okay? That's the problem. We don't know when it's going to open. And you don't know what kind of wormhole it is until it opens. You follow me so far? So this is my theory that I have on this. That every person has their own personal wormhole. Okay? Now, it could be that you have different types of wormholes or whatever, but I believe that everybody carries their own, one form or another. Okay? Now, when people think of wormholes, normally they think of a big, spacious wormhole that 100 people could go in and out of at one time, and 2 or 3 people would buddy up and go into this wormhole, and 2 or 3 people would come back, blah blah blah. No, that's not what I'm saying here. Forget that. That's all in the movies. According to my theory, and the way I'm seeing it right now, the way I'm looking at it, with spontaneous combustion and the disappearances of people out of body, the deja vu, all this stuff are transversible, non-transversible, and one way, or possibly even 2 ways as far as out of body, are all wormholes. Every person has one of their own. They probably have 2 or 3 of their own. Who knows? But the warning signs, the telltale signs, you never know. Unless you catch it and you see it or whatever, But that's my theory, folks, and that's what I'm coming up with, that all of this has to do with wormholes. And I believe that the body has their own. Now, how is it that some people can up and disappear through a one-way, okay, and never return, while other people can have a two-way experience, like an out-of-body experience, and come back? Well, here you go. I may have a slight, small answer on this. When you're in everyday life, like we are right now and we're talking, and you know, you get up in the morning, you have your coffee, you do whatever, blah blah blah, and you're wide awake and all this stuff. Your body, its energy, your aura, whatever you want to call it, is 100%. Okay? 100%. You follow me so far? In other words, the energy in your body, when you're awake, when you're up and, you know, whatever, you are at a 100% level. It's like a car battery, okay? And as you keep it charged up, you know, and you're doing whatever, you're at 100%. All right? Those people who are on their deathbed, let's say, or are getting sick, maybe have pneumonia, they have some kind of an ailment, whatever, their energy level is starting to lower. Your battery is getting weaker and weaker and weaker until it is no more. Okay? So, these people that have 100% energy and they up and they mysteriously disappear totally without a trace, they go into that one-way wormhole, okay? The reason why their whole body disappears is because their energy level is at 100%. You follow me? Where the people that we bury into the ground physically or have them cremated or whatnot, their energy level was almost nil, okay, before they crossed over. So some people's souls are the only thing that gets to go into the wormhole, where other people, their whole body gets to go. And it's all based on the level of energy that one carries. That's what I'm getting at. Okay? It's all based on the energy level of that particular person. And there you go, my friends. That is my theory. That is my theory. Now I'm going to touch base. I'm going to do a lot more study on this in the next couple of nights. And Saturday night, I'm going to have my live feed on Facebook. And I'll be able to talk to people. And I'll be able to show slides and different things, you know, on the computer and whatever during the live feed. And we'll be able to talk a lot more on this. But I'm going to get into it hot and heavy study-wise for the next couple of nights because I really think I'm onto something here. And I think this explains a lot of disappearances, a lot of out-of-body experiences, and a lot of other things. Now, also, before I leave you, I want you to keep this in mind also, and you can write this down on your notepad. As far as ghosts and the things that, you know, go bump in the night, it's very possible that these are folks that have used the two-way wormhole, but are not necessarily the ones that died as a whole body, but only as a spirit. Okay? Their energy level wasn't strong enough to take the body, so it only took the spirit. And that's where we get the spirits, you know, that come back possibly during a two-way wormhole or whatever. And that's the ones that go bump in the night. Okay? And they're able to go back and forth whenever they want. But that's my theory. Like I said, I'm going to do some more research on this, and hopefully, hopefully we'll can bring more of this subject to light. But yeah, that's where I'm going with it. It's all about the wormhole, the type of wormhole, and the type of energy that a person has as to what type of wormhole is open and how it's opened and all that. So there you have it, my friends. So if you like the show, please, by all means, follow, like, and share. Let people know that Friday or Saturday night, I am going to bring up this discussion one more time, and it will be on Spreaker and on Facebook Live. No, I'm sorry, it won't be on Spreaker. It will only be on Facebook Live. But that way I can do the visuals and stuff for you and whatever. So there you go. So I hope you enjoyed it. Take some time to mill it over in your mind and see what you think. But you heard it first from me. Maybe someone else has come up with this concept before. I don't know, but I've never heard of anyone ever talking about it like I have, or the way I'm looking at it. So you heard it first. Halloween night, October 31st, 2019, right here on Closer Encounters Radio with your host, Clarence Mitchell. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And please, if you're out with your youngins tonight doing tricks or treating, be careful. But at the same time, keep your eyes to the sky. Thank you all. Have a great night. I want to thank you all for listening to Closer Encounters. Please remember to like, follow, and share. And until we meet again, keep your eyes to the skies. Thank you.